Back to Job, and I said to the media administrators that we would start in verse 39. I, I would like to say that I would like to request that every one of you, along with whatever you're studying, reread the book of Job, because in the book of Job, we're in it. Not we're in it as people, as believers of today, but the mindsets and the verbiage and the dialogue sounds just like us today. The book of Job is highlighting what's in the atmosphere throughout all creation, not just the United States. Job suffered a tremendous loss. And many of us have had devastating losses. And initially well-meaning people, because of their training or whatever, started out to come see about their brother after they heard about the calamity that had befallen him. But the book of Job is also, and again, I'm not saying this, I am not on the Most High's counsel. I am not here to try to project, infer anything of the sort. The book of Job also gives us a more well-rounded look at the Most High. Christianity, and particularly the Christian church system, highlights mostly one aspect of the Most High, and it's always yes and amen. And he's more than that. He's more than that. And this thing with Job kind of, as Pastor used to say, it kind of pulled back the curtain and let you look behind the curtain as to what's really going on. And there was a lot of conversation going on before anything transacted on earth. And a lot of our lives are like that. In fact, the book of Job is also about having real compassion. Real compassion. Really learning how to properly offer your condolences. It shows how not to. And then the Most High, when he addresses each individual that had something to say, you know, saints particularly Torah-seeking saints, we really got to be there for each other because these Job-type situations, they're not over yet. And you know, Job is also about faith. And again, in Christian circles, they love talking about faith. Job had faith. And it wasn't just because everything always worked out for him. Remember when the adversary, or it was recorded that the adversary said, skin for skin. You know, the only reason why he served you is because, you know, he's living large. And a lot of people think that about believers. And, you know, it doesn't really help a whole lot when some well-meaning, some out of ignorance, highlight certain aspects of the gospel that tend to make people think, give your heart to Jesus and you'll get a mansion and you'll drive a foreign car and you'll, you know, that sort of thing. And that'll draw some people in. And I'm not saying that the Most High wouldn't do that. He might. But Job saw everything full circle. It came full circle. And let me say this, because I know all of us think, well, you know, I read that he got everything back that he lost. Well, folks, it didn't happen in one church service. It didn't happen 30 days later. There was a period of time before everything was restored. I guess what I'm trying to convey to you is it appears, trying to remember what my father taught me, it appears in study things aren't always instant with the Most High. But see, unfortunately, in a lot of circles, that's the way it was given to the people. And you can hear it when people talk. Can he move in an instant? Yes. Yes, he can. But Job is something we need to read because it was a process. And we're in it. The way we think, the way we pray is in there. We might be one of those three friends. We might be. And let me help you. None of us are the Most High. So you can scratch him off your list if you look in the, well, where do I fit in this? Well, that spot's taken. So now you got the three friends, and as is always the case, there were a lot of unnamed people there. And then there was Job. And you remember in the beginning, the Most High talked glowingly about Job. And that's the part that most circles, they talk about that a lot. They talk about that a lot. And then they skip through all the other chapters and they get to the end and say, well, everything he lost, he got it back. And it gives you the impression that, hey, you know, do 2, 3 little prayers and everything's all right. Folks, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, and hurt. I'm not talking about hurt feelings. Yeah, there was some hurt feelings, but that was nothing to the heart wrenching. I mean, what Job went through, it's almost like somebody took his heart out, threw it on the ground and stepped on it. Not many of us have had that kind of situation. And his 3 friends came to see him, and they did, bless them, they at least waited 7 days. When this pandemic thing broke and you know, information was coming out, and you know, then people begin giving their opinions, and then a certain segment wanted to make it about faith, and they were making it about faith, and they couldn't define what faith was. Yes, they recited something that came out of a ministry, and again, I'm not going to get into that. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That's not a definition of faith. And again, I'm not poo-pooing anybody. Folks, we got to get more accurate in what we're doing and stop just regurgitating stuff that we've heard and stuff that sound good. Some people wanted to protect themselves. Some people didn't know what to do. And a lot of people didn't know what to do. So it was new to everybody. But in life, when times are good and when they're not good, stay with his wisdom. Stay with his wisdom. See, some households, somebody might have got a shot. Some households, one did one thing, one did something else. They may have both decided whatever. If they had children, they had other things to consider. Barry, where are you going with this? I'm trying to show you that the same thing that happened here is happening now. Some people got ill and they still didn't cover up. They didn't isolate themselves. And many of us don't know who we infected. And then, the argument ensued. If you wore a mask, you didn't have faith. That was stupid. If because you thought you had faith and didn't wear a mask, that was your decision. The CDC. No, they didn't get everything right. But again, this was new to everybody. But again, everybody wanted to have their say. Social media is good, but social media has given everybody the impression that what they think really matters. And it doesn't. It matters for your life. Your life. We always said, well, I'm following God. I want to follow God. I'm following God. We hear that so much, particularly in Christian settings. And sometimes you wonder if people really understand what that means. See, sometimes in quote unquote following God, sometimes we need to just stay still. Sometimes we need to go to him. For real. Not our group. The whole group can be wrong. Well, man, what you gonna do? Why are you asking me that? Girl, what you gonna do? Child. Them masks, I ain't got nothing in my closet match none of that. I ain't wearing no mask. And I'm not, listen, whether you did or didn't, that's not the point. A lot of us missed the opportunity to follow the Most High's wisdom. We put our own feelings over his wisdom. And I wonder, has it ever dawned on anybody, did I take a life? Did I take a life because of what I saw? Has that ever entered anybody's brain yet? Did my action or my inaction infect somebody? I used my faith, and that's why I'm still alive. Really? Only the Most High knows when we gonna check out of here. See, this book of Job, it's a lot deeper than we think. And I'm telling you, we're in the book of Job. And again, I'm not talking about the person, but the mindset, the thought process, the way we pray, the way we believe. Our lack of definition of what faith is. Let me go back a little bit. I tell you, it'll make you cry. When you go over the dialogue between Job and his friends. And I know some of us, again, because of the Christian church system, well, I just would just forgive them and I would forget. That's easy to say. That's easy to say. And that's something, folks, that's something that, see, living Torah is different from reciting scriptures. See, living Torah is what you do. There's certain aspects of Christianity that set us up to be injured. It will kill you. Stay with Torah. What, Barry, you always talking about the 613 laws. You don't want to do that. 248, and then they rest. Well, I don't want to do that. Okay, the 10 Commandments. Well, I don't want to do that. Okay, what? Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Is that I reduced it to 2. What does that have to do with what I'm teaching and all of that? Everything. See, because as you're living that, not folks, we've been trained how to talk a good game, but not how to live a good game. In athletics, in an athletic competition, you have some classroom. You sit in there and you learning the plays or whatever. But come game time, you got to be able to execute. Your coach can't help you. And coach, put me in. Oh, Barry, you want to go in? Yeah. I know the playbook backwards and forwards. And don't have a speck of ability. See, you know how you win a game? You win a game by enforcing your will over your opponent. That's how you win. Now, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his own. What? Folks, we have been trained, and a lot of us think, oh, I'm ready for battle. No, you're not. No. We have been done a disservice, folks. Let me go to 19. I tell you, Well, Eliphaz, he did start. He said, back and forth. He said, then Eliphaz, he said, if one tries to speak to you, will you mind? And see, now, again, in Christian circles, they said, well, he asked him nicely. See, we zero in on the not so important stuff. And see, he asked that because he had a whole lot to say. And sometimes, saints, we need to not have so much to say. Because a lot of what we got to say is not accurate. I was serious when I asked that question. Have anybody, and don't answer it, just think about it. Has anybody taken time through this whole ordeal to say, you know, did my actions take a life? Or my inactions, did it take a life? Did you go to work and you really weren't well? And maybe they didn't die, but maybe somebody else got sick. See, it began to show us what we really thought, not only about ourselves, but about others. And again, I'm not saying if you did this, you did right. If you didn't do this, you did. That ain't up to me. And it ain't up to you either. This is a serious time, folks. Man, you making more of this than it is. No, I'm not. We take things too light. We like for stuff that everything is not a nursery rhyme. Oh, boy. Ah. Oh, man. And folks think, I'm ready for battle. No, you're not. Barry, who are you to say? Well, I said it, and I'm including myself in that. See, I'm not a you this, you that. I'm saying, folks, we got to be wiser. And we got to stop letting our emotions just slap us all upside the head, make us do silly things. Every time you get overly emotional, you make the wrong move. Think back over your life. Some of the stuff we've buried. And the Most High saying, listen, don't do that again. He said, will you mind? I mean, and you know, and again, I'm not saying they weren't friends. Because sometimes real friends can say some kind of tough stuff to one another. And it depends on if it's a real friendship. And you know, somebody you enjoy going to a ball game with, or you enjoy going shopping. Folks, that might be, you know, I did a teaching, I did a sharing some time ago where I talked about knowing how to properly categorize people. There's a difference. In fact, there's something on, once again, social media where they're starting to try to inform people. Your coworkers are not your friend. You don't know where I work. We one big happy family where I work. Okay. You're going to find out. You're going to find out. Are they your enemies? No, but they're not your friends. They're more like acquaintances. Listen, some church people are acquaintances. Oh, boy. Okay, no, that don't sound nice. And, you know, Folks, put the powder puff away. Life is hard. You know, his friends, they came at him, of course, one at a time, and he addressed them. Then the next one, he listened to him, then he addressed him. Then the third one, he had something to say. Job addressed them too. And again, what jumped off the page to me was when his wife said, his wife who also suffered loss. So I'm not saying this like, but how dare she say something like that about the Most High? I would never. That lady was hurt too. Those were her children as well. She bore them. Job provided the seed. She couldn't be a mother without Job. Fellas, that was a plug for you. Don't nothing get started till you plant a seed. Don't ever forget that. Society has flipped it. But in getting back to God's order, They came at him so much because he was doing fine. He was doing fine. But listen, Isaac Hayes had that song, By the Time I Get to Phoenix. Some of y'all remember that, but I know you're going to act like you don't, but that's all right. But in this song, he was talking about, you know, he married one of them party girls. In fact, I told you, I used to really like Isaac Hayes a lot. I had everything he put out. I still got some of that. I ain't throwing my music away. But I began to notice about my brother, and God love him, he gone, but I started listening more to the lyrics, more and more and more, and he always blamed the lady. But getting back to, there's a passage, there's a section in the song where it says, don't you know a man can only take so much? And so Job could say, guys, I've heard what you said. All of you, you've actually accused me of something. Because I told you, and this is where a lot of church people fall. When something unpleasant happens, trying to be an apologist for the Most High, which none of us are qualified to be, I wish we would stop. We can't explain him. He does what he jolly well please or not. It ain't up to us. I don't care how many secret formulas you think you got. I don't care how you turn your head, spin around and click your heels 3 times. He does if he wants to do. Not because of what you do or what you say. Or me. It's his show. And they came at him so much that all of a sudden, Job it's just like, remember when, for those of you that just love to live in the New Testament, remember when they came and they took Yeshua and Peter was there, and Peter loved him. But remember he kept asking, he said, Peter, do you love me? He said, yeah. He said, feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? Yeah, man. Feed my sheep. He asked him again. Peter, he said, you know I do. Jump a few paragraphs earlier, and he said, well, for that crow 3 times, you gonna deny me. Oh man, you know I wouldn't do that. That's a lot of us. See, because Christianity tells you it's what you say out of your mouth. No, but Torah says your walk should mirror your speech. But that's not what Christianity says. I just get up and I'll confess and profess and hot air. And we wondering why stuff not clicking. And I'm telling you, if you're gearing up for more of the same of that stuff, you're going to bring on another pandemic. Don't do it. Job began to defend himself. See, anybody, and that's another thing. You know, sometimes people, they just keep coming at you. Keep coming at you. Keep coming at you. And with men, if you keep coming at a man, you eventually gonna get hit. Most, unless he's real effeminate. But a masculine man, and I know they've added that toxic masculinity, that's somebody else's term. When trouble hits, you need a man. Oh boy. And I ain't scared. They kept at him so, and it triggered him. Because basically Job said, listen, if I did something wrong, tell me what I did. He got goaded into that. And you say, well, if he was so all of what, and remember now, the Most High paid him the utmost compliment. But remember also, the same one that paid him the utmost compliment picked him to go through the series of events. He didn't pick the 3 friends. Wonder why? And again, I'm not saying it like I know the answer because he told me, because he didn't tell me. I don't rank. You don't either. So let us all stop this stuff we doing. And so Job began to try to defend himself, and most human beings will do that. Particularly, you don't know what you did. Remember David? David was living large. And David could pray to that, shoot, and things would go well for him. And he's like, man, I got this down. And he got so that he said, Father, try me. Boom, turned right around, and that fine Bathsheba was over there. And I mean, my boy fell to pieces. I ain't knocking him, but that's what happened. Well, man, I didn't have a moment like that. It might not have been about that, but it was about something. Watch yourself when you start doing a whole lot of bragging. And for the church folk, they don't brag, they humble brag. Still bragging. Because when you say try me, he might say try me. And I've told you time and time again. I would love for him to, when somebody in all their finery, all that I have, Lord, is yours. Say, okay, give it to the Jones family. I love to see the look on their face when they know that's God that said that. I wonder how many of them would do it. See, so what I'm saying to you is be careful what you say. Because he might just call you on it. And I still ain't got into the scriptures, but that's all right. We're going to take our time with this because I'm going to tell you, if you get in it and you read it for real, not like a subject, a calculus, or whatever, geometry or biology, don't read it that way. Read it and look for you because you in there. You are in there. The way you think, the way you pray, the way you carry yourself, the way you live, it's in there. Correction. The way we think, the way we live, the way we carry ourselves, it's in there. Find yourself. Read what the friend said because some of our mindset is of one of those three friends. Which one? I'm telling you, we are in that book. After everything had been said, Job was defending himself because any human being after a while, unless you just have, well, I would imagine there probably are some people that, again, from a Christianity standpoint, this is what they would do. They would say, oh, they accuse me of this, they accuse me of that, and I didn't say now a mumbling word. And they thought, surely this will show folks how humble I am, or how spiritual I am, or how deep I am. And sometimes, saints, if you don't say a mumbling word and you in court, you might lose your case. There is a time to speak up. Oh, let me share this with y'all too. Saints, court is not a time for your testimony. They are interested in facts, not what you believe. Woo! I would like to write a comedy. Believers go to court. And when that prosecuting attorney get them on the, whoo, that would be funny. That would be real funny. What does all of this have to do with Job? Everything. See, because Job, he was under so much pressure that he was like, hey man, listen, I've lost everything and you're attacking me. There was one thing he said, man, is this the way you treat a friend? And maybe that was the way they treated their friends. Because I thought about another thing. I said, well, wait a minute. Because this happens to a lot of us too sometimes. See, and I hope we have the wisdom to just, this is one time to be quiet. Because see, sometimes sometimes people will infer that they are close to you. I can't tell you how many dear friends, close friends, my parents had. And I was like, what? Didn't say nothing. But I was like, man, if they had all these people, really? Sometimes people think they consider themselves close. But isn't that kind of up to you who's your friend? Or have we gotten so to where if somebody say that so-and-so's my best friend, you just not gonna say nothing? See, in a world where you just get to say a bunch of stuff, that's why people make those kind of statements. And sometimes people will infer that you're closer to them than you really are. And some people have gotten so they will speak on your behalf as if they know you, and they don't. And so there's a way to correct that. But that's dangerous. Job got so upset, he began to say, listen, man, he was saying, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent. And of course, they would respond, well, if you were so innocent, why did this happen to you? That's what they kept saying. See? And that's what people do sometimes. I'm like, saints, let's not do that to folk. They dealing with enough. See, that comes from trying to make it about you. It ain't about you. It's about who this happened to. See, but Christian church system, that's what it teaches. Some people think when something happens, they just got to say something. No, you don't have to say anything. Let a person that's truly close to the situation, give them a chance. People have an appreciation for you giving your condolences. But even in doing that, don't make that about you either. Sometimes, saints, we do that. And the person's in enough pain. Job got to the point where sometimes, particularly some people, it don't take much before they start talking stuff. And sometimes in defending yourself, we take it too far. Because we'll say, well, and sometimes you don't know what you did, or you can't remember because there's so many things that maybe we got away with. And you say, oh man, no, maybe this coming back on me for this or that. People use that term, what is it, karma? That's what people like to talk about, karma. Job got so irate. He said something that caught, not that at all, because the Most High was listening to the whole conversation, all their conversations. And if you remember early on, it said, and even when Job said, Job did not sin with his mouth until his friends and or acquaintances kept in on him. Come on, Job. You know, that ain't how God is. And the Most High got on them for misrepresenting him. And he gonna get on some of us if we don't stop misrepresenting him. Everything with God is not always yes and amen. Sometimes he say no. Sometimes he might say not now. And sometimes in him saying no, it might even be for our good, even though at the time we think that's what we just gotta have. The situation gotta work out this way. No, it don't have to. He can find 100 different ways to work the thing out. I see it, Ridge. Folks, let's learn to really massage through some of the stuff that the church system has put in a lot of fellowships. Let's purpose to try to get to know one another in a way that we can work together, in a way that we can get on one accord. Now, we may not all ever get to the point where we go into each other's house. We could do something fun in a little bit as soon as I shut up. But like what we're about to do today, that's wonderful. But it doesn't have to, it may never get to that level. But you know, I'm telling you, there's something special when you know in your heart people love you for real, and not the Hollywood kind of stuff. You know, they didn't, you know, that's another word that we've been tricked about. Because a lot of us will say, I just an example, don't hold your rocks. If I was talking to Alan, I say, Alan, why you marry Azetta? He said, because I love Azetta. He ain't lie. Azetta, why did you marry Alan? I love Alan. Yeah, but wait, just, I mean, that's a true statement, but I'm going somewhere with this. And it's just an example. And I picked them because Greg and Vern ain't here. And saints, we've been sold a bill of goods about that word love. And Job's friends were operating in the version of love that we were operating in. But the kind of love I'm talking about is when you suffer loss. You know in your heart, these people real. When you can say that means something. That means something, that to know that, you know what, if I took a missing, somebody really would care. They wouldn't say, next man up. Hey, I want that spot. In fact, I should have had that spot anyway. I don't know how he got it. No way. Get on out the way. Yeah, I'm glad he gone. That ain't love, folks. We need to know that we got a handful of folk that's really got your back. That when you really hurt, they hurt. And they not coming to you with a whole bunch of stuff that they done memorized. And you got to fix your face and listen to that gobbledygook. And then praise the Lord. And your stomach feel like somebody got a knife and they cutting it up on the inside, and you trying to keep a smile on your face, and myself, I'm saying, I wish this idiot hurry up and finish what they got to say and leave me alone. Well, Barry, that's not nice. I know. But see, when you dealing with life for real, you don't have a lot of time for a lot of the plastic stuff that's still trying to go on. The next time I have the distinct honor to come before you, we're going to actually get into chapter 39 and 40, because everybody had their say, and now the Most High is going to address each one of them. And that's where, if you don't want to read the whole thing, I really wish you would. But if you don't want to do that, because I just get on your nerves, start at verse 39, chapter 39, and read the rest. You're going to find if you didn't find yourself in the beginning, which we are there in the beginning, we in there all the way through. But I ain't got time for all that. Okay, you real busy. Start at chapter 39 and start reading. And take your time and read. And highlight some stuff. Whatever speaks to you, highlight it. Ask him about it. Is this me? But I guarantee you, a lot of you will be able to spot yourself. Because that's the way some of us think. That's the way some of us think. And I'm gonna tell you, he taught the three friends a new one. I mean, he got on Job good too. Oh yeah. But he told them a new one, and then he had Job pray for them, because he really didn't want to hear at the time, he didn't want to hear anything else they had to say. And I know they knew their scriptures backwards, forwards, and sideways with their candy apple prayers. Cotton candy prayers. You see how big cotton candy is? You know, a lot of saints got what I call cotton candy prayers. Man, you go to the fair or whatever, and they roll that thing around, and you get this great big thing, and I don't know, the thing probably costs you about $15 now. But you can eat that great big thing in 30 seconds. It's gone. And ladies, the next time, and I'm going to close with this, the next time some guy want to whisper sweet nothings in your ear, just call him cotton candy and keep walking. God bless you. Yeah. Oh, well, Zetta, you got something? Come on up.